What's going on, YouTube? It's your boy Rich Nice back once again. So today we're back in the shop. We're still working on beast mode. As you saw in the last video, we put the B Woody heat exchanger on. So we got that all installed. So today we'll be pinning the crank. So first thing we need to do is get this car up in the air. Some of the products that I use to get this car up in the air is I use these right here. And these are for pinch welds, and they fit on the little jack stand right here, just like this. Just like that. And I also use these pinch weld lifters. Now these are magnetic. They just fit right over the pinch weld, and they're made to use these flat floor jacks. Where is it? Right here. So they're made to fit flat on this, just like that, so you can be able to lift your car up and down. I bought these off of Amazon. I bought those same ones, those little jack stand things off of Amazon. So I'll link those in the description. So I will get this car up in the air and we'll get ready to pin our crank. There's a couple of things we got to pull out of the way to be able to pin the crank, such as the fan, probably the lower blower coolant line, as you'll see when we get underneath, and then we'll go from there. So while I get this up in the air, y'all go ahead and watch the intro and we'll be back.
Dark side, light this bitch up.
Our car up in the air, and so to take our fan out, because you have to take this out to be able to pin the crank, but down here, right here, is a 10mm bolt for your fan, and then there's one on this side directly underneath the upper radiator hose. So you pull those two out up top. Now I pulled these right here off, and it's basically these right here, and this just basically fits right down here like that, and then there's a 10mm bolt to hold it in. So, and it just holds the radiator and transcooler and everything else, condenser, all that stuff together. So I don't think you have to take this off, but I took it off as a precautionary measure. Next, we'll go down low, and I'll show you what you have to do down low to get the fan out. Here you have, this is your lower coolant line for your blower. It has two push pins, one here and one here. You just pull those out. I've taken the bottom skid plate off. As you know, we've already taken the front clip off, but it's not necessary for you to pull the front clip to be able to take your fan out. You just need to take this middle splash shield out. Once you do that, then as you can see, your fan is already loose from up top, and then we'll just take those two 10mm bolts out. More than likely we will have to take this off, and once you take this off, coolant will spray. Coolant will spray, and if it sprays, it's gonna get all over the place. So it'd be best if you can have something to catch this, because yeah, it's gonna be messy. Once you do that, and you take those two 10mm bolts out, your fan should be able to push up and slide back. One other thing you can also do is right here, there's two 13mm bolts right there. You can take those out, and then there's also some on the other side. and they're behind this flap right here. So they're behind that flap right up in there. Not how you can see that, but trust me, they're up there. You don't have to take those 13 millimeter bolts all the way out. You can just loosen them up. As you can see, the radiator itself pushes up and down, so it's loose. So we'll get those two 10 millimeter bolts out up top, and we'll be good to go. One other thing that you'll need to do that I forgot to tell you is on this side, grab the light, is the plug for your radiator fan itself. That gray plug right there, you just push it in, pop it loose, and it comes out. So I'll get these bolts out and then we'll be back. All right, you can see the plug a little bit better. That's what you have to unplug. These are what the bolts look like. They're 10 millimeter. The best way I found to get this bolt out underneath the upper radiator hose is to take the cover off for the ABS, and basically the power line, the battery cable, has two little push pins on it that go in right here. You pop those out, and then this comes out like this, because these right here, these little tabs, they actually fit underneath this piece right here. So that's the easiest way I found that out. Now our fan is super loose, as you see. I can pretty much pick it up and almost pull it out myself. So we'll go back underneath and see if we can get this thing out. This is what I was saying about that lower coolant line for your blower. As you can see, we made a little bit of mess, but we cut majority of it. We do have some more of the Mopar 50/50 antifreeze. It's pre-diluted, and you don't have to add any water with it, so you just basically put it in there and you're good to go. So once this finishes draining, we'll come back out and we'll pull the fan, because it's already loose, and I'll show you what the feet look like on the fan that hook into the back of the radiator. So got the fan out finally. It was a pain in the butt, but we finally squeezed it out. These are the little feet that I was talking about that sit on the back of the radiator, and basically there's a U shape like this that these sit in like that, and then you put your two 10 millimeter bolts here and here, and then this is what the actual plug looks like that you're going to unplug. Now is a good time for you to go ahead and replace your serpentine belt and your pulley belt, especially if you have a whole bunch of miles on your vehicle. We don't. Ours has 39,000. We'll have to order these because no one has them in stock, unfortunately, so it'll be a couple of days before they get here, at least this green one anyway. And you have to take your regular serpentine belt off to get the green one off anyway, so might as well go ahead and replace both of them at the same time and call it good. So next we'll be pulling our crank pinning stuff out, and I'll show you what you need for that, and then we'll be back. All right, YouTube, we have our stuff to pin our crank. The first thing we have are some angle drills. We have a battery powered one. We also have a pneumatic one that we'll use with our compressor if need be. We actually have the drill bit itself, which I believe is a 1/4 inch. We've already taped it up to the length of the pin. This is the pin that we're going to insert when we pin the crank. This piece right here will actually, once we take the crank bolt, the stock crank bolt out, this will bolt in with this bolt right here. We'll use drill bit to go through this hole. We'll drill just deep enough, which is why I have the blue tape on here. It's supposed to be 1 5/8 inch, I believe. So we just use the pin itself along with a flat edge up here, put them both together just so I can mark it off, so that should be good. To hold the crank from spinning when we tighten it. We bought a couple of tools. This one right here won't work because our balancer has 3 holes in it instead of 4. So just FYI, and I'll put a picture right here. All right, so we got a couple of tools that we're going to use to put our new crank bolt in. This attaches to the actual crank itself, and then you put your socket through here. But our crank has 3 holes, not 4, so we can't use this. So I'll put a picture of the crank over here and let y'all look at that. So what I opted to use is this piece right here. So on your actual transmission, you have an inspection window that goes to the flywheel. So you would insert this into the flywheel, and this would catch on something as you spin the crank to keep the crank from spinning itself. So we'll use this when we get ready to uninstall and reinstall our bolts. Then this right here is our new crank bolt. As you can see, this one has a little relief cut in the end. It's threaded all the way up to the top. I believe this is 142 foot-pounds plus 150 degrees. I may be wrong. I have to double check the instructions. Then we have this. So this will fit on your 1/2-inch drive, and basically you stick this in there. This little arm will catch on whatever, and you can put it either way. You can put it long ways like this, or you can take the short side. It's basically an Allen head. And you'll set your dial to 0, and then you'll just crank on it till it gets to 150. If you look, 150 is basically at the 5 o'clock position. So if you're looking at your crank as a clock, the top being 12 or 360, the bottom being 180, 3 o'clock being 90, 150 is about the 5 o'clock position. So what we'll do is we'll take our bolt once we actually get it in there, and we'll mark a paint mark on here. That way we can turn it along with our guide. So if our guide is not really working real well, this degree meter right here, then we'll know we need to turn this till it gets to about the 5 o'clock position. So that's how we'll do that. Other than that, I think that is pretty much everything we need. So I'm going to put this back in the plastic so I don't lose it till we get time to do it. And also, when you put this in, put some Loctite on it, because this will go in, and then this bolt will go on top of it. And this piece right here, this big old washer that's really thick, will hold this in place, and this will just pin the crank to itself. So I'll put that back in there so I don't lose it. Also, make sure you get a bunch of push pins, because you will break some and you will need to replace them, trust me. So we got plenty of push pins, so when we get done we can put everything back together. But for now, we'll go underneath and we'll take the cover off of the inspection plate, and we'll stick this piece right in so we can try to get that factory bolt out. All right, YouTube, we're under the car. This is your transmission inspection plate. I'm going to use this 10 millimeter to take this bolt off. And we'll go from there. And this inspection plate is right in front of the torque converter on my Hellcat. On LS's, they're on the side, or should I say the bottom side over here somewhere. So so we'll take this piece and we'll just insert it in here, and hopefully we can get this thing in. So I'll get this thing in and we'll be back. Not sure how well y'all can see that, but that's how I got it wedged in there. And it was able to let me loosen the bolt up here. I use my big old breaker bar, and then I came back with a 1/2 inch ratchet right here. So that's how I was able to get the bolt loose. So now I should be able to reach up in here and screw the bolt just like this. One bolt. And just like that, we have our boat out. Oh. There is a couple differences between the stock bolt, which is this one right here. As you can see, it does have this sleeve in the middle, where this one is threaded all the way through, and the only sleeve it has is down here at the top. Also, like I mentioned earlier, there's this little cut in this one right here, where this one doesn't have a cut. So this boat right here is like 40 bucks. I'll find the part number for it and put it in the description, but it's like 40 bucks at the dealership. So just tell me you need a crank bolt, and this is what you'll get. So now we'll take this, put this bolt in, tighten it up, and find out where this hole is, and we'll drill that. Then we'll be able to put our pin in, and then we'll be able to put our permanent bolt in. So let me get the drilling and we'll be back. All right, YouTube, we have our guide in, and I put it at the bottom of the crank so it's easier to get to with this angle drill. Best thing for you to do is take some cardboard and put it up here against your radiator. That will keep you from damaging it, just in case. So I'll get some cardboard put in here, and then we'll go ahead and we'll commence the drilling. Y'all can see that, but we got the hole drilled for the crank. It wasn't too bad. So we'll get the dowel pin in there, we'll put some Loctite on it, and then we'll be able to put our crank bolt in and go from there. All right, YouTube, I got the pin in with some Loctite. I also have it marked to where I think the 5 o'clock position should be, just in case we can't use our dial. So we'll get the bolt put in, and then we'll get this thing tightened, and everything else will be ready to go back together. All right, YouTube, we got our digital torque wrench out. I'm not sure if you can see that, but I did some research, and for the 15, 16, and 17, and maybe the 18 Hellcats, you don't have to do the 150 degree, you just torque it to 239 foot-pounds. So we got our torque wrench already set. Not how well y'all can see that, but it's set at 239. So we'll put it on here and see if we can get this thing tightened. All right, YouTube, we got it torqued to 239. Of course, the ratchet would want to fall off on me when I got to it. Let's see if we can. got the torque wrench, as you can see, it's at 238.8. So I'm gonna call that 239. We're gonna call that good. It's a little bit of workout, but it's done. So now we'll just change our belts out and then we'll put everything back together. So I'll be back. There we go. Okay, YouTube, we got our drive belt in, serpentine belt, and then we have our blower belt, and this is the part number. So I will get these put on. This is a diagram of kind of what it looks like. What I'll do is I'll put a picture of this over here or somewhere over here to make it look a little better. I know it's a little harder to see why it's dark, but basically your drive belt goes like this, goes around your AC pulley down here, water pump, all that good stuff. So all right, YouTube, we got our old belts off. Wasn't too bad, a little bit of a pain when it get down to that rear bottom pulley. Don't forget, if you're using this, to pull this back out of your inspection window for your transmission and your flywheel. If you're using the other one, then you don't have to worry about that step. You can see we got our new green belt on. We got our new drive belts on. Everything looks like it's what it should be. So I will start putting this thing back together and we'll be back. But real quick, let me show you what the little feet look like that your fan goes in. Where's the light? So see that right there? This is the little feet that your fan sits in right here. See how it's like a little U? Right here. This piece right here. So that's what your fan sits in, and then you got the two bolts that hold it up top. So I'll go ahead and get this fan back in because it's going to be a pain. And then I'll be back. All right, YouTube, we got our fan back in, we got our plug back in. Don't forget to plug that back in. Got our belts on, so I'm gonna go ahead and call this a wrap. The only thing we got left now is to put some coolant in our bottle over there and hook up our lower blower coolant hose line and just put the rest of the car back together. Put the front clip back on. You will get an engine light because you have no coolant in your supercharger bottle right here. So just be aware of that. It may take a few cycles to get it out, and there is a bleed screw that you're going to have to use to get some of the air out, and it's located way back there. I'm not sure if you can see that, but there's that. Anyway, it has a purple screw on it right there. See that purple screw right there? And that's how you bleed it. Just loosen it up and you'll see bubbles come up in here. You do that a few times and hopefully your engine light will go away, and then your coolant will go down. You'll have to refill it a couple of times, so just be aware of that. So I'll continue to put this back together. As always, thanks again. We're trying to make some horsepower with this thing. We're trying to get to 1,000. It'll probably be 1,000 at the crank, probably about 850 at the wheel, but we'll see what happens. Right now we're 900 at the crank and 772 at the wheel. So anyway, come on back. We got a couple more mods we need to do to this thing before we can get to that 1,000 horsepower number. As always, hit the bell, hit the like, hit the subscribe. Hope this video was informative. This is my first time ever having to pin my crank. on any vehicle. So we learn together. There are some do's and don'ts. If you have any questions, as always, just leave them in the comments. I'll hit you back. Till next time, peace. We got our coolant line hose back on. We got it pinned back up. We got our splash guard on with our pins back up. Next thing we need to do is put the front cover on. And then we can call this good. But I need to go ahead and start filling this full of fluid and see if we got any leaks. All right, YouTube, these are the clips I was talking about that you're gonna have to trim down because of where this goes into the heat exchanger. So you gotta trim those down a little bit just to get your bumper to fit back on. So just wanted to give you an FYI.